We know you're a liar and a scammer. Come out here and face the consequences.
My marriage was a lot like my coffee, bitter, cold, and only worth drinking after 2 shots of whiskey. I'm Nick Grady, 38 years old, IT consultant by day, failed novelist by night, and apparently the last person to know my wife had been making major life decisions for both of us. I scheduled your vasectomy for Thursday, Julia announced over breakfast, not looking up from her phone. She said it the same way she might mention picking up dry cleaning or getting an oil change. I nearly choked on my cereal. You did what now? Dr. Morrison had a cancellation. Perfect timing. She finally looked at me, her green eyes cold as January in Maine. We agreed we don't want kids, Nick. This is just being responsible. We agreed to discuss it. There's a difference between discussing and you booking medical procedures without telling me. Julia sighed, the kind of dramatic exhale she reserved for when I was being particularly unreasonable. Your body, your choice, right? But this affects both of us. I'm just being proactive. The irony wasn't lost on me. Julia, who spent 40 minutes every morning perfecting her appearance, who controlled every aspect of our social calendar, our finances, even which brand of toothpaste we used, was suddenly concerned about my bodily autonomy. Cancel it, I said. Nick, be reasonable. Cancel it, or I will. She stood up, smoothing her pencil skirt. Julia worked in HR at Meridian Insurance, where she specialized in making other people's lives miserable while maintaining her perfect professional image. Fine, but you're being childish. After she left for work, I sat in our too-clean kitchen, staring at the motivational calendar she'd hung on the refrigerator. Today's inspiration: take control of your destiny. I laughed, actually laughed out loud in my empty house. Then I picked up my phone and called Dr. Morrison's office. Hi, this is Nick Grady. I need to cancel my appointment for Thursday. Yes, that's right. Actually, while I have you on the line, do you happen to know any good therapists? My wife seems to think she can make medical decisions for other people. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. The receptionist, bless her heart, gave me Dr. Rachel Harris's number. I called immediately. Dr. Harris, this is Nick Grady. I'd like to schedule a consultation for my wife, Julia. Thursday at 2 would be perfect. No, she doesn't know yet, but trust me, she needs it. I used Julia's credit card, the one she'd used to book my vasectomy. Fair was fair. When Julia came home that evening, I was waiting with a glass of wine and a smile. How was your day, honey? I asked. She looked suspicious. Julia had excellent instincts when it came to detecting trouble. Fine. Did you call Dr. Morrison? I did. Canceled the appointment. Her jaw tightened. Nick, but I did schedule something else for you. Thursday at 2, Dr. Rachel Harris. She's a therapist who specializes in boundary issues and control problems. I thought it might help with your tendency to make decisions for other people. The silence that followed was beautiful. Julia's face went through several interesting color changes, pale to pink to red to that particular shade of purple that meant I was in serious trouble. You scheduled me therapy? Your mind, my choice, I said, raising my wine glass in a mock toast. But don't worry, it affects both of us, so I'm just being proactive. Julia's phone was already in her hand. She dialed Dr. Harris's office, but of course, they were closed. She tried anyway, leaving a terse voicemail about canceling an appointment she never made. This is ridiculous, Nick. I'm calling first thing in the morning. Of course you are. Just like I called to cancel my vasectomy. She stormed upstairs and I heard our bedroom door slam. I poured myself another glass of wine and opened my laptop. Time to do a little research on Dr. Rachel Harris. According to her website, she had extensive experience with couples counseling and individual therapy for people struggling with control issues and relationship boundaries. Perfect. The next morning, Julia was on the phone before her first cup of coffee. "Dr. Harris, this is Julia Grady. My husband scheduled an appointment without my consent, and I need to cancel." "What do you mean non-refundable?" "He used my credit card without permission." "I see." "No, I don't want to reschedule." I watched from the kitchen doorway as Julia's expression shifted from angry to frustrated to calculating. She hung up and turned to me. "The appointment is non-refundable, $200. "Expensive lesson," I said, buttering my toast. "Maybe next time you'll discuss major decisions before making them." This isn't over. I certainly hope not. Things were getting boring around here. Julia left for work without another word, but I could practically see the gears turning in her head. She was planning something. Julia always had a plan. I spent the morning working on a client's network security update, but my mind kept wandering. The vasectomy ambush had been the latest in a series of unilateral decisions Julia had made about our life together. She'd refinanced our mortgage without telling me, signed us up for a country club membership I couldn't afford, and somehow convinced her boss that I was the reason she'd been stressed at work lately. Around noon, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Your wife called. She's very upset about Thursday. This should be interesting. Dr. Harris." I stared at the message. Therapists didn't usually text patients' spouses. Something was off. I called the number back. "Pete's Investigations," a familiar voice answered. "Pete? What the hell?" Pete Morrison, not the doctor, but my best friend from college who now ran a private investigation business, was laughing so hard he could barely speak. "Nick, you magnificent bastard. Julia called Dr. Harris this morning, right?" "Yeah. So?" "Well, Julia being Julia, she didn't just cancel the appointment. She spent 20 minutes telling the good doctor all about your control issues and passive-aggressive behavior. She painted quite the picture of you as an unstable husband who books fake therapy appointments to gaslight his wife." My stomach dropped. "She what?" "Gets better. She asked Dr. Harris to call you and recommend couples counseling. She figured if she couldn't cancel the appointment, she'd flip the script and make you the problem." "How do you know all this?" "Because Dr. Harris is my cousin Rachel. She called me after Julia hung up, wondering if she should be worried about this crazy woman who spent $200 to tell a stranger how terrible her husband is." I sat down hard in my desk chair. "So Julia tried to weaponize a therapist against me." "Yep, and Rachel was so disturbed by the whole thing that she asked me to do a little digging on your wife. You know, just to make sure you're safe." "And?" "Well, that's where things get interesting. You might want to sit down." "I am sitting down. Julia's been spending a lot of time at that new gym downtown. Fitness First. Specifically, she's been taking private sessions with the owner, Tyler Brooks." The name hit me like a slap. Tyler Brooks was everything I wasn't. 6 feet tall, muscled like a Greek statue, with the kind of easy confidence that came from never being turned down for anything in his life. He'd been a local high school football star who'd parlayed his athletic success into a fitness empire. His Instagram account had over 50,000 followers, mostly women who left comments that would make a sailor blush. "Private sessions," I repeated. 3 times a week for the past 2 months. Always after hours. Always when the gym is officially closed. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Not anger, exactly. More like clarity. "Pete, I need you to do me a favor." "Name it. I need to know everything about Tyler Brooks. His business, his finances, his parking tickets, everything." "Consider it done." "But Nick?" "Yeah?" "Be careful. Julia's playing for keeps here. The therapy thing, that was just her opening move." After I hung up, I sat in my home office, staring out the window at our perfectly manicured lawn. Julia had hired a landscaping service without asking me about that too. Everything in our life was designed to project success and control, even if it was all built on credit cards and lies. My phone buzzed with another text, this time from Julia. "Had lunch with Brianna. She thinks you've been acting strange lately. Maybe we should talk to someone. Together." Brianna was Julia's best friend and the neighborhood's unofficial gossip coordinator. If Julia was involving Brianna, she was preparing for social warfare. I texted back, "Sure. How about Dr. Harris? You already paid for the appointment." The response came immediately. "Don't be smart, Nick. This isn't a game." But that's where Julia was wrong. It absolutely was a game, and I was tired of losing. Thursday afternoon, I found myself parked across the street from Fitness First, watching Julia's BMW pull into the parking lot. She was 2 hours early for her therapy appointment that she'd supposedly canceled. Pete had been right. Julia walked straight to the gym's side entrance, where Tyler Brooks was waiting for her. Even from a distance, I could see the way she touched his arm, how she leaned in when she talked to him. 20 years of marriage, and I'd never seen Julia look at me the way she was looking at Tyler. I pulled out my phone and started recording. Tyler was exactly what you'd expect from a fitness influencer. All white teeth and fake tan, wearing a tank top that showed off his considerable biceps. He was the kind of guy who probably practiced his smile in the mirror and called everyone bro, unironically. They disappeared inside the gym, but I could see them through the large windows. Julia was wearing yoga pants and a sports bra that she definitely hadn't owned when we were actually intimate. Tyler had his hands on her waist, adjusting her form on some exercise that looked more like dancing than working out. I recorded for about 10 minutes before my phone buzzed with a call from Dr. Harris, the real Dr. Harris. "Mr. Grady, this is Rachel Harris. I believe you scheduled an appointment for your wife?" "That's right, though I'm starting to think she might not show up." "Actually, that's why I'm calling. Your wife contacted me again this morning. She was very insistent that I call you to discuss her concerns about your mental state." I watched through the gym window as Tyler lifted Julia onto a weight bench, her legs wrapped around his waist in a way that had nothing to do with physical fitness. "Dr. Harris, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "In your professional opinion, what kind of person tries to manipulate a therapist into diagnosing someone they've never met?" There was a pause. "That would be someone with significant control issues and possible narcissistic tendencies." "Interesting. And what would you call someone who makes major medical decisions for their spouse without consent?" "The same thing, I'm afraid." I ended the recording and put my phone away. "Dr. Harris, I think my wife might actually benefit from that appointment after all, if she shows up. And if she doesn't, then I'll have learned something important about my marriage." After I hung up, I drove home and called Pete. "How's the Tyler Brooks research coming along?" "Oh, Nick, you're going to love this. Your wife has excellent taste in men if she's into tax evasion and health code violations." "Go on." "Tyler's been running his gym on a shoestring budget, paying most of his employees under the table. He owes the IRS about $40,000, and the health department has been trying to schedule an inspection for 6 months. He keeps rescheduling." "Anything else?" "He's also been sliding into the DMs of half the married women who follow his Instagram. I've got screenshots. The guy's a predator with a protein shake addiction." "Send me everything." "Nick, what are you planning?" "Nothing illegal, but Tyler's about to discover that actions have consequences." That evening, Julia came home glowing with the kind of satisfaction I hadn't seen from her in years. She was humming while she made dinner, something she rarely did anymore. "How was therapy?" I asked. She froze for just a moment before turning around with a bright smile. "I didn't go. I decided you were right. I don't need therapy." "Where were you this afternoon?" "Shopping with Brianna. We went to that new boutique downtown." I nodded and pulled out my phone, showing her the video I'd recorded at the gym. Julia's face went white. "That's not what it looks like," she said automatically. "Really? Because it looks like my wife is having an affair with a fitness instructor who owes the IRS $40,000. Julia's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. Finally, she found her voice. "You followed me?" "I was in the neighborhood. Funny thing about that gym. It's right across from the coffee shop where I meet clients. I've been seeing your car there a lot lately. Nick, I can explain? I'm sure you can. You're very creative. Like when you tried to get Dr. Harris to diagnose me as mentally unstable, or when you scheduled my vasectomy without asking. You're full of explanations. Julia sat down hard in one of our kitchen chairs. For the first time since I'd known her, she looked genuinely scared. What do you want? She asked. I want honesty. How long has this been going on? 2 months. Are you in love with him? She hesitated. I don't know. Do you want a divorce? Another hesitation. I don't know that either. I poured myself a glass of wine and offered her one. She shook her head. Here's what's going to happen, I said. You're going to end things with Tyler, today, and we're going to start marriage counseling with Dr. Harris, real counseling, where we both participate honestly. And if I don't? I showed her Pete's research on Tyler, the tax problems, the health code violations, the screenshots of his messages to other women. Then Tyler's going to have some problems. The IRS is very interested in fitness businesses that pay employees in cash, and the health department takes anonymous tips very seriously. Julia stared at the phone screen, reading Tyler's messages to other women. Her face went from scared to angry to something I'd never seen before, hurt. He's been messaging other women? Dozens of them. Married women, mostly. Apparently, you're not as special as you thought. She was quiet for a long time, staring at the evidence of Tyler's other conquests. I'll end it, she said finally. Good. And Julia? Yeah? Next time you want to make a major life decision, we discuss it first. Both of us. Like actual married people. She nodded and went upstairs. I heard our bedroom door close, but not slam. Progress. I spent the evening researching marriage counselors and thinking about the video on my phone. I could destroy Tyler Brooks with what I knew about his business practices, but that felt too easy. The man had been sleeping with my wife, but he wasn't the one who'd made vows to me. Besides, I had a feeling Tyler Brooks was about to create his own problems. Around 10 o'clock, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Your wife just broke up with me. This isn't over. I screenshot the message and forwarded it to Pete with a note. Tyler Brooks is about to become a problem. Let's make sure he doesn't. Pete's response was immediate. Already on it. Health inspection scheduled for tomorrow morning. Anonymous tip about tax evasion goes to the IRS on Monday. Perfect. But Pete? Yeah? Make sure it can't be traced back to me. I want to keep my hands clean. Trust me, Nick. By the time I'm done with Tyler Brooks, he'll be too busy dealing with government agencies to bother anyone's wife. I went to bed that night, feeling something I hadn't experienced in months. Hope. Not for my marriage, necessarily, but for my future. Whatever that looked like. Julia was already asleep when I came upstairs, or pretending to be. Either way, she was on her side of the bed, as far from me as possible. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but for the first time in years, I felt like I was playing the game instead of just being played. I was drinking my morning coffee when Julia's phone started buzzing like an angry wasp. She grabbed it, saw Tyler's name, and declined the call. It rang again immediately. Answer it, I said. Put it on speaker. She looked at me like I'd lost my mind. Nick. Answer it, Julia. Let's hear what your fitness instructor has to say. She accepted the call reluctantly and hit the speaker button. Julia, thank God. You have to help me. Tyler's voice was higher than usual, stressed. The health department showed up this morning. They're shutting me down. What? Julia looked genuinely shocked. Some anonymous tip about health code violations. They found mold in the shower area and said my equipment cleaning protocols are inadequate. I'm closed until I can fix everything and pass re-inspection. I'm sorry to hear that, Julia said carefully, glancing at me. That's not the worst part. My accountant called. The IRS wants to audit my books. Someone reported me for paying employees under the table. I sipped my coffee and watched Julia's face. She was starting to understand that Tyler's problems were more than coincidental. Tyler, I can't help you with this. But I need money for the lawyer and to fix the gym. I thought maybe… No. Julia's voice was firm. We talked about this yesterday. It's over. Julia, please. After everything we meant to each other. I reached over and ended the call. Meant to each other? I asked. That's interesting phrasing. Julia was staring at her phone like it might explode. Nick, did I what? Report a business owner for tax evasion and health code violations? Why would I do something like that? Because you found out about Tyler. I set down my coffee cup and looked at her directly. Julia, if Tyler Brooks is having legal problems, it's because he broke the law. I didn't make him pay employees in cash or ignore health department regulations. But the timing is unfortunate for Tyler, lucky for the women he was messaging on Instagram, though. Now they won't have to deal with his advances. Julia's phone buzzed with a text. She read it and her face went pale. What now? I asked. Tyler says he knows you're behind this. He's threatening to tell everyone about our relationship. I laughed. Actually laughed out loud. Julia, I recorded you two at the gym yesterday. If Tyler wants to have a public conversation about your relationship, I'm happy to provide visual evidence. You wouldn't. Try me. My phone rang. Pete's name on the caller ID. Morning, Pete. Nick, you need to know something. Tyler Brooks was just at my office. Really? What did he want? He thinks I'm working for you, which I am, and he wanted to hire me to dig up dirt on you. Did you take the job? Of course I did. Took his money and everything. Amazing what people will tell a private investigator when they think he's on their side. Julia was listening to every word, her face getting paler by the minute. What did he tell you? Oh, this is good. Tyler thinks Julia is going to leave you and marry him. He's been planning their whole future together. He even looked at engagement rings. I glanced at Julia, who looked like she might be sick. Engagement rings? Gets better. He told Julia he loved her and wanted to start a family. Real romantic stuff. Too bad he was saying the same thing to 3 other married women. Julia grabbed the phone from my hand. Pete? Is that true? Julia? Yeah, it's true. I've got the messages. Tyler's been running the same game on multiple women. You were just the one with the most money. She handed me back the phone and walked out of the kitchen. I heard the front door slam. Pete, where is she going? My guess? To have a conversation with Tyler. This should be interesting. Should I be worried? About Julia? Nah. About Tyler? Definitely. Your wife just learned she was played by a professional and she's got that look in her eye. What look? The same one you had when you found out about the affair. Revenge. I spent the morning working from home, but my concentration was shot. Around noon, Julia came back. She looked like she'd been crying, but there was something else in her expression. Determination. How did it go? I asked. Tyler's a liar and a cheat. He never loved me. He was just using me for money and connections. I'm sorry. She looked surprised. Are you? Julia, I'm angry that you cheated on me. I'm hurt that you tried to manipulate a therapist into thinking I was unstable. But I'm not happy that you got played by some fitness instructor with delusions of grandeur. She sat down across from me at the kitchen table. Tyler showed me the messages from other women. He's been telling them all the same lies he told me. What did you say to him? I told him that if he contacts me again, or tries to cause problems for you, I'll make sure every woman in this town knows exactly what kind of man he is. And I might have mentioned that his business problems are just the beginning, that there are people watching him now, and he should be very careful about making enemies. I raised an eyebrow. People watching him? I may have implied that you have connections I don't know about, that you're not just some IT consultant who can be pushed around. Julia, I am just some IT consultant, but Tyler doesn't know that, and he's scared enough to believe it. My phone buzzed with a text from Tyler. Tell your wife to stay away from my gym. This is between you and me now. I showed the message to Julia. He's trying to make you the villain, she said. Let him try. I've got video of you two together, Pete's got evidence of his tax evasion, and the health department has already shut him down. What's he going to do? Challenge me to a fitness competition? Julia almost smiled. He might. Tyler's not very bright. I noticed. What kind of man tries to blackmail someone with evidence of his own wrongdoing? The kind who's used to getting his way through intimidation. Well, he picked the wrong family to intimidate. That afternoon, Pete called with an update. Tyler's been busy. He drove by your house 3 times, took pictures of your car, and asked around the neighborhood about you. What did he find out? That you're a quiet guy who keeps to himself and has lived in the same house for 15 years. Real dangerous criminal profile there. Anything else? He also went to Julia's work, tried to talk to her boss about your unstable behavior. Didn't go well. Why not? Because Julia's boss already knows about the affair. Apparently, Tyler called the office looking for Julia several times. The receptionist mentioned it to HR, and they started paying attention. So Julia's job is in jeopardy? Let's just say she's going to have some explaining to do. When Julia came home that evening, she looked exhausted. Rough day? I asked. Ms. Klein wants to see me first thing Monday morning. Someone's been calling the office asking for me. Tyler. Who else? He's trying to make trouble for both of us. Julia, I need to ask you something, and I want an honest answer. Okay. Do you want to save our marriage? She was quiet for a long time, staring out the kitchen window at our perfect suburban lawn. I don't know if it can be saved, she said finally. I've made so many mistakes. That's not what I asked. Do you want to try? Yes, but I don't know how to fix this. We start with honesty. No more lies, no more manipulation, no more making decisions for each other. And Tyler? Tyler's about to learn that actions have consequences. But that's not about saving our marriage. That's about him threatening us. What are you going to do? I pulled out my laptop and opened Tyler's Instagram account. His latest post was a selfie at the gym with the caption, "Temporary setback, but we'll be back stronger than ever, thanks to all my supporters during this difficult time." The comments were mostly from women offering sympathy and support. Tyler was playing the victim, making himself look like a hard-working businessman being persecuted by jealous competitors. I'm going to tell the truth, I said. What truth? I started typing a comment under Tyler's post. Difficult time indeed. I'm sure the IRS audit and health department violations are just coincidences. Nothing to do with your business practices or personal conduct. Julia watched me hit enter. Nick, that's going to make him angry. Good. Angry people make mistakes. Within minutes, Tyler had deleted my comment and blocked my account. But the damage was done. Other people had seen it and started asking questions in the comments. What if he comes here? Julia asked. Then we call the police. Tyler Brooks is all muscle and no brains. He'll do something stupid, and when he does, we'll be ready. We? We're still married, Julia. Whatever else happens, we're in this together until we decide otherwise. She nodded, and for the first time in months, I saw something in her eyes that looked like respect. Monday morning brought 2 phone calls that changed everything. The first was from Julia's office. Ms. Klein wanted to see her immediately. The second was from Pete. Nick, we have a problem. Tyler's been talking to people. What kind of people? The kind who listen to gossip and spread it around? He's been telling everyone that you're stalking him and threatening his business. That's ridiculous. Maybe, but he's got a story, and people are listening. According to Tyler, you're a jealous husband who can't handle his wife working out at a real gym. I looked out the window and saw Mrs. Pallas from next door watching our house. She was holding her phone, probably updating the neighborhood Facebook group in real time. How bad is it? Bad enough that Tyler's got some of his gym buddies convinced you're the villain. They're talking about paying you a visit. Let them come. I've got security cameras and a lawyer. Nick, these aren't smart guys. They're the kind who solve problems with their fists first and ask questions later. After I hung up, I checked the neighborhood Facebook group. Mrs. Palace had indeed been busy. There were 3 posts about suspicious activity around our house, including photos of Pete's car from when he'd visited yesterday. But the comments were interesting. Instead of supporting Mrs. Palace's surveillance efforts, most of the neighbors were defending me. "Nick's a good guy who minds his own business," wrote Tom from 2 houses down. "Maybe if people didn't cheat on their spouses, there wouldn't be any drama," added Jennifer from across the street. Apparently, Tyler's campaign to make me look like the bad guy was backfiring. The neighborhood gossip network was more sophisticated than he'd realized. Around noon, Julia came home early from work. She looked like she'd been through a blender. "How did it go with Ms. Klein?" "I'm suspended pending investigation. Someone sent anonymous emails to HR detailing my inappropriate relationship with Tyler Brooks." "Tyler? Who else? He's trying to get me fired." "What did you tell them?" "The truth. That I made a mistake, it's over, and my personal life has nothing to do with my job performance." "Will they buy it?" "I don't know. Ms. Klein seemed more concerned about the company's reputation than my job performance." My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Your wife cost me everything. Now it's your turn." I showed it to Julia. "He's escalating," she said. "Good. The more desperate he gets, the more mistakes he'll make." That afternoon, I decided to take a proactive approach. I drove to Fitness First, where Tyler was standing outside arguing with a man in a suit, probably his lawyer or accountant. I parked across the street and called Pete. "I'm at Tyler's gym. He's having what looks like a very unpleasant conversation with a professional of some kind." "That would be his tax attorney. The IRS moved fast on this one." "How fast?" "They froze his business accounts this morning. Tyler can't pay his rent, his employees, or his legal fees." I watched Tyler gesticulating wildly at the man in the suit, who looked like he was trying to calm him down. "Pete, I think Tyler's about to do something stupid." "What makes you say that?" "Because he just saw my car." Tyler was walking across the street toward me, his face red with anger. I rolled down my window. "Nick Grady, you piece of—" "Careful, Tyler. There are security cameras everywhere, and I'm recording this conversation." He stopped about 3 feet from my car. "You destroyed my life." "No, Tyler. You destroyed your own life when you decided to cheat on your taxes and sleep with other men's wives." Julia came to me. I didn't pursue her. "Maybe not initially, but you sure didn't discourage her. And you definitely didn't tell her about the other women you were pursuing at the same time." Tyler's face went from red to purple. "She told you about that?" "She told me everything, including your plans to marry her and start a family. Very romantic, Tyler. Too bad you were making the same plans with 3 other women." "You don't know what you're talking about." I held up my phone, showing him screenshots of his messages to other women. "Actually, I know exactly what I'm talking about. The question is, what are you going to do about it?" Tyler looked at the screenshots, then at my car, then back at me. I could practically see his brain trying to process the situation. "This isn't over," he said finally. "Yes, it is. Your gym is closed, your accounts are frozen, and the IRS is auditing your books. You're done, Tyler. The smart thing would be to take whatever deal your lawyer can negotiate and disappear quietly." "And if I don't?" "Then you'll find out exactly how much evidence I have about your business practices and personal conduct. Trust me, Tyler, you don't want that conversation to happen in court." He stared at me for another moment, then walked back to his gym. The man in the suit was shaking his head and packing up his briefcase. I drove home feeling oddly satisfied. Tyler Brooks was learning that actions have consequences, and Julia was learning that her choices affected more than just herself. But the day wasn't over yet. That evening, Julia was making dinner when someone knocked on our front door. Hard. I looked through the peephole and saw 3 men I didn't recognize. All young, all muscular, all looking like they'd rather be anywhere else. "Julia, Call the police. What's wrong? Tyler's gym buddies are here for that visit Pete warned me about. I opened the door, but left the chain latch engaged. Can I help you, gentlemen? The biggest one, a guy who looked like he bench-pressed small cars for fun, stepped forward. You Nick Grady? I am. And you are? Friends of Tyler Brooks. We hear you've been causing him problems. Tyler's problems are self-inflicted, but I appreciate your concern for your friend. He says you're stalking him, threatening his business. Tyler says a lot of things. Most of them aren't true. I held up my phone, which was recording the conversation. This is being live-streamed to our security company. If you gentlemen would like to continue this conversation, we can do it when the police arrive. The three men looked at each other uncertainly. They'd clearly expected to intimidate a scared suburban husband, not someone who was prepared for their visit. Tyler just wants you to leave him alone, the big one said. Then Tyler should stop texting my wife and threatening my family. When he stops bothering us, we'll stop bothering him. And if he doesn't? Then he'll discover that I have friends too, and they're not as forgiving as I am. The men left without another word. 5 minutes later, the police arrived. I'd actually called them before opening the door. Officer Martinez took our statement and promised to have a conversation with Tyler about sending his friends to intimidate people. This kind of thing usually escalates, he warned. You might want to consider a restraining order. I'm hoping it won't come to that, I said. Tyler's got bigger problems than my marriage. After the police left, Julia and I sat in our living room, both of us processing what had just happened. I'm sorry, she said. This is all my fault. Julia, you made a mistake. Tyler Brooks is making it into a war. What happens now? Now we wait. Tyler's running out of options, and desperate people do desperate things. Are you scared? I thought about it. No. Worried, maybe, but not scared. Tyler's all bluster and no substance. When push comes to shove, he'll fold. How can you be so sure? Because bullies always fold when someone stands up to them. And Tyler Brooks is nothing but a bully with good abs. Julia almost smiled. Good abs and terrible judgment. The worst combination. My phone buzzed with a text from Pete. Tyler's lawyer quit. Word is he can't pay his legal fees, and the IRS case is worse than expected. I showed the message to Julia. It's really over, isn't it? She said. Tyler's part is over. The question is what happens with us. She was quiet for a long time. I'd like to try counseling, real counseling, with Dr. Harris. Even after everything that's happened? Especially after everything that's happened. I need to understand why I made such terrible choices. And I need to understand why I let our marriage get to the point where you felt like you needed to look elsewhere. So we're going to try? We're going to try. Outside, Mrs. Palace was probably updating the neighborhood Facebook group with news of the police visit. But for once, I didn't care what the neighbors thought. Tyler Brooks had taught me something valuable. Sometimes the best revenge is just letting people destroy themselves. 2 weeks later, Tyler Brooks made his last mistake. I was working in my home office when Julia burst through the door, her face white with fury. Tyler's at my office. He's in the parking lot confronting my coworkers. What's he saying? That I'm a liar and a cheat who destroyed his life. He's got a megaphone, Nick. He's making a scene. I grabbed my keys. Call Pete. Tell him to meet us at Meridian Insurance. What are you going to do? End this. The scene at Julia's office was even worse than I'd imagined. Tyler had set up what looked like a one-man protest in the parking lot, complete with hand-drawn signs reading, Julia Grady is a liar, and Nick Grady destroyed my business. He was shouting into a megaphone about corporate corruption and marriage fraud, while a crowd of office workers watched from the windows. Several people were recording with their phones. I parked across the street and called the police, then walked over to where Tyler was holding his rally. Tyler, what are you doing? He spun around, megaphone still in hand. Nick, perfect timing. Tell everyone how you destroyed my life because you couldn't handle your wife choosing a real man. Tyler, your life was already destroyed. I just documented it. You sent anonymous tips to the IRS. I sent factual information to the appropriate authorities. If that destroyed your life, maybe you shouldn't have been breaking the law. Tyler raised the megaphone again. This man is a stalker and a criminal. I held up my phone, playing the video I'd recorded of Julia and Tyler at the gym. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Tyler Brooks having an affair with my wife. Notice how he's now claiming to be the victim. The crowd of onlookers murmured among themselves. Tyler's face went red. You can't show that. It's private. It was recorded in a public place through the windows of your gym. There's no expectation of privacy. Pete arrived just as Tyler was winding up for another megaphone rant. Nick, the police are 2 minutes out. You might want to wrap this up. I walked closer to Tyler, who was sweating despite the cool weather. Tyler, here's what's going to happen. You're going to pack up your little protest, go home, and never contact my wife or me again. And if I don't? Then I'm going to release everything I know about your business practices, your tax evasion, and your pattern of pursuing married women. I'll post it on every social media platform, send it to every local news station, and make sure everyone in this town knows exactly what kind of man you are. You're bluffing. I pulled out a thick folder from my car. Tax records showing unreported income. Health department violations going back 2 years. Screenshots of your messages to 17 different married women. Photos of you with at least 6 of them. Should I continue? Tyler stared at the folder like it might bite him. Where did you get all that? You'd be amazed what people will tell a private investigator when they think they've been wronged. Turns out, you made a lot of enemies over the years. The police arrived just as Tyler was processing this information. Officer Martinez stepped out of his patrol car and surveyed the scene. Mr. Brooks, we've talked about this. You can't harass people at their workplace. I'm exercising my right to free speech. You're creating a public disturbance. Pack up the signs and the megaphone. This is America. I have rights. You have the right to remain silent, Officer Martinez said, pulling out his handcuffs. I suggest you exercise it. Tyler looked at the handcuffs, then at me, then at the crowd of people recording his meltdown. This isn't over, he said, but his voice lacked conviction. Yes, Tyler, it is. He packed up his signs and megaphone, loaded them into his beat-up pickup truck, and drove away. The crowd dispersed, and Julia's co-workers went back inside. That was anticlimactic, Pete said. The best endings usually are. Tyler's not a criminal mastermind. He's just a guy who made bad choices and couldn't accept the consequences. Julia came out of the office building, looking embarrassed but relieved. Is it over? It's over. Tyler's got bigger problems than our marriage now. What kind of problems? Pete grinned. The kind that involve federal tax liens and possible criminal charges. Tyler's going to be too busy trying to stay out of prison to bother anyone's wife. That evening, Julia and I sat in our kitchen, sharing a bottle of wine and trying to process everything that had happened. I keep thinking about what Tyler said, Julia said, about me choosing a real man. What about it? He wasn't a real man. A real man doesn't lie to multiple women, doesn't evade taxes, and doesn't throw tantrums when his choices catch up with him. No, he doesn't. A real man takes responsibility for his mistakes and tries to fix them. Is that what you're doing? I'm trying to. I called Dr. Harris. We have an appointment Thursday. We? Both of us, if you're willing. I thought about everything we'd been through, the vasectomy ambush, the affair, Tyler's threats, the confrontation at Julia's office. I'm willing to try. Even after everything I did? Julia, we both made mistakes. You cheated, but I checked out of our marriage long before that. We both have work to do. And Tyler? Tyler's going to spend the next few years dealing with the IRS and trying to rebuild his life. Hopefully he'll learn something from this experience. Do you think he will? Probably not. Tyler strikes me as the kind of person who always blames someone else for his problems. My phone buzzed with a final text from Tyler. "You won this time, but karma's a witch." I showed it to Julia, who rolled her eyes. "He can't even spell correctly when he's threatening people." That's Tyler Brooks for you. All muscle, no brains, and terrible spelling. I deleted Tyler's number from my phone and blocked him on all social media. Whatever happened to him next was his problem, not mine. 3 months later, Julia and I were still going to counseling with Dr. Harris. It wasn't easy. Rebuilding trust never is. But we were making progress. Tyler Brooks had pleaded guilty to tax evasion and was serving 6 months in federal prison. His gym had been sold to pay his debts, and his Instagram account had been deactivated. Sometimes I wondered if I'd been too hard on him. Then I remembered the threats, the intimidation, and the way he'd tried to destroy Julia's career, and I stopped wondering. Actions have consequences. Tyler Brooks had learned that lesson the hard way. And so had we all. The consultation war was over, and surprisingly, everyone had survived. Even our marriage.